What up, though? Welcome to Beats, Rhymes, and Parlays, where the stats hit different, and every parlay got a beat behind it. What up, though? It's your boy, Mr. CEO, in the building. I got the chain on again because I told y'all I'm a champ. Y'all probably wondering why I always got that champ chain on, man. But with all the parlays we done hit, we done damn near hit one every week. So I come back with it every week. Don't be mad because y'all ain't got that champ chain. I hope y'all had happy holidays. We're going to jump on to the wins and the losses. My boy Jay not here today. Shout out to Jay on a cruise, man, a holiday cruise with the family. Hope you having fun. Yes, we hit another blueprint parlay. Oregon 13.5, Bama plus 8.5. That Bama was a sweat, but that Oregon wasn't a sweat. Even when they let them come back, you knew they weren't going to cover that 14. So we hit a minus 124. And don't sweat, we got parlays. We got them at minus. We didn't hit minus 124. We didn't hit it all the way up from plus 800, plus 600, plus 400. We just don't make parlays for you to play them. We make parlays for you to win. I'm not going to give you a 17-leg parlay just to play to have fun. I'm going to give you what I think is going to win so you can win like we've been winning, and let's keep going. And we got all different types of parlays. So on to the GMB solo bets. We didn't have any last week. We didn't have that parlay. We still 11-4 on that one. Again, champ chain CEO, I'm up 4-3. We haven't had any really big disagreements on either side where we wanted to play it. This week we disagree a little bit on the Oregon game versus Texas Tech, but Jay said he didn't want to play it. Nothing mad about that. Not mad about that. All right, again, man. Let's talk about Oregon, though, man. Let's talk about Oregon. Did Moore bet against Oregon? Did he bet the spread, man? Did Dante Moore bet the spread? Because them interceptions was kind of boneheaded. You take away them interceptions, we still cover. Now, I'm not mad because you got to do what you got to do. They up 48-13, and all of a sudden, Dan Lannon put in the backups, and you see what happened. Probably should have bet the first half. Jay was right. In the end, you don't really got to win by margin in the playoffs. So we didn't cover that 21. At the last second, we had like a 99-yard drive, and they scored on 4th and goal to get the cover, or they still would have won by 24. I ain't going to lie, I would have made that bet again. I think they beat them by 28 if they played them again, man. Oregon was the clear right side. We're not going to get mad at that. We're going to jump over to the first game just to let y'all know before I jump over. We're known on this show. I'm known on this show for the CEO notes. And the CEO notes, when y'all listen to them, they are not a pick. So when you read it, no, I didn't pick the one side. No, I didn't pick the other side. I'm going to give you both sides of each game. I watched the film. I'm going to show you what I see on film. I'm going to show you some weaknesses. I'll show you some strengths. I might even compare teams because one team might look like another team. And the two teams that are playing now might resemble something that we've seen in the past. So I might even try to predict the score like I did in Michigan almost, because I thought that game might look like another team, somebody else they played. And we do got one like that today. We might have a couple, but I know we do got one like that today. It might not be my bet. It might be your bet. Y'all might pick a prop. Y'all might pick a over or under or anything. I had a lot of people calling me up, hitting me up, throwing me their wins. Yeah, man, I want up those CEO notes. So I'm going to keep coming with those notes. And let's jump over to that first game. And before we jump over to the first game, man, shout out to my wife. She gave me the hoodie for Christmas. I needed some skull caps, so I got a skull cap back for Christmas also. I still got my Gucci glasses on, and they match. So let's go. We got Miami versus Ohio State, neutral site. Ohio State, a 9.5-point favorite. The over-under actually went from 42.5 to 40.5. CEO notes, Miami, a good chance their offense will struggle the second game in a row. They struggle versus an A&M defense that gives up explosive plays, and now we'll have to play a defense with no weakness. If they can't run the ball and it's in Beck's hand to win the game, they will be in trouble. The defensive line is comparable, if not better, than what OSU faced versus Indiana and cause them problems. So I'm just saying that Miami can definitely cause Ohio State problems. Their D-line is legit. They would have to get pressure with 4 and drop 7 and force turnovers to help the offense and get them short fields. Per PFF, Miami has the second most pressures under 2.5 seconds. So that means Miami gets to the quarterback real fast. 2.5 seconds is normally the time a quarterback want to get the ball off. So normally if you get to them before 2.5 seconds, it results in a lot of sacks, which Miami has had. Ohio State, The only real weakness on film I see with Ohio State so far is their run game. It's been better later in the season, but it went back to normal versus the Indiana team. The question for Ohio State is, how will freshman Julian Sand fare in his first and biggest game of his career? I meant first playoff game, but the biggest game of his career. That can go a long ways. He's going against a legit front seven at least, and a definitely legit front four. So that's my question on that one. Now they got Ryan Day calling the plays. That's a little twist. I like Ryan Day as a coach. So I honestly think Ohio State played. I give Indiana, they beat Ohio State, but I think they did the same thing they did last year versus Michigan in the last game of the season. They didn't want to show a lot. They kind of went conservative. I think just like last year, Ohio State gonna come out with something you ain't seen in the playoffs. And yeah, if that happens, this might not look too good. This is one of the games I told y'all why compare and contrast. Miami to me is similar. They're similar to Texas with a little bit better on D-line. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a 21-7, 21-14, 21-7, 24-10 game, and kind of look like that Texas game where it's a low-scoring game. Ohio State get 2 or 3 scores, and then Miami struggles because Texas A&M is not a defense that gonna hold you to 3 points almost the whole game and only give up 10 points. Texas A&M normally then gave up like 27 to 30 points to like a non-Power 4 school. Texas can't score against anybody. 7 against Ohio State. What I think was it 10 versus Georgia, and put up like almost 30 against A&M. So struggling versus A&M is not good when you're about to face a team in Ohio State who's elite. You will see something on this game later. I'll give y'all. We got some parlays. We got some bets. But I definitely like Ohio State in this one. That is what I do like. But that, what I just gave you, is for you guys to decide what you want to do. That over-under at 42, I liked it a lot. 40.5, not as much. But I do want to give y'all one nugget. If y'all can find Miami 16.5, which I think they didn't cut them down to 15.5, there's a couple left out there. But if y'all can find Miami's team total under 16.5, go play that. Ohio State has not given up more than 16 points all year. And Ohio State just played Indiana, who has probably the best offense in the country and average around 40 points a game. So I definitely would love that under 16.5 for Miami. If y'all can still find it, I like the 15.5, love the 16.5. And 17.5 is like, man, just go dump everything. just dump everything. All right, next we got Ole Miss versus Georgia. Georgia, the 6.5-point favorite, over under 55.5. Versus Bama in the SEC title game, the offense had trouble actually moving the ball. Y'all think it was easy. No, it really wasn't that easy. In the first half, the score should have been 0-0. Georgia had an interception, and he had a block punt that put them within like 30 yards of scoring. Other than that, they couldn't even get a consistent drive in the first half. They also had trouble in the second half, scoring another 7 off a Bama turnover. Inside their own 20. The longest touchdown drive of the game for Georgia was 39 yards. This is the second game in a row they struggled to move the ball, as they also struggled versus Georgia Tech. The defense looked good as they were able to get pressure on the quarterback, something they haven't done all season. If they can continue to get pressure versus Ole Miss, they will be able to slow down the Lane Kiffinless offense. Mississippi, because Georgia weaknesses in their secondary. So they will be able to slow them down if they get pressure. Georgia haven't been getting pressure all year. If they did get pressure on on Bama. That was super surprising. Georgia actually has a shot to win the national championship if they can get pressure. Because the one weakness they had is not getting pressure, and that's why Tennessee and Bama earlier and the Ole Miss were able to score so much. Because if you get time on Georgia, you can kind of hurt their secondary. Y'all think Georgia's secondary got better? But no, Georgia just played really weak competition since they gave up them 40 points and them 35 points. They played weak competition. So this will be another true test, because on the other side, see your notes, the offense at Ole Miss has a talent at wide receiver to play with Georgia. They have some real talent. I'm a Michigan fan, always been kind of a Michigan fan, not so much now. And I always tell y'all that Michigan need receivers. I was joking with one of my bros. Michigan needs Ole Miss receivers, but Lane Kiffin going to probably take them with them. They have some legit receivers. Quarterback Shambliss shows the ability to read defenses and make the right reads. This will be a new play caller. This will be the new play caller's first real test post Lane Kiffin, and that's a huge variable in this one. Ole Miss secondary is a huge weakness. Georgia, this should be a get right game for Georgia. because their offense was bad versus Georgia Tech. The offense was bad versus Alabama. Not what y'all really thought it was, but going back, they was bad 2 weeks in a row. So I don't know if Kirby's offense is trying to hold something back, because previous their offense was doing good, and I don't remember any big injuries on Georgia's team. So in this game, I would lean Georgia because there's no way in the world, and I would tell y'all not to bet Ole Miss. It's hard to bet Ole Miss versus Kirby, who's won championships before. He has playoff experience as a head coach. He's already the master of second half adjustments. I just wouldn't touch Ole Miss in this game. I'm not telling y'all to bet Georgia 6.5 either, because honestly, if Georgia offense come out like the last 2 games, Ole Miss will have a shot, because those receivers easily can take one to the house and make some close. And also Chambliss with him being kind of mobile and stuff like that, that can help them out at all. This one is really a tough one. Honestly, I'm telling y'all, if Lane Kiffin was the coach, the spread probably would not be 6.5. But if you would have gave me 6.7 with like Lane Kiffin, I would have been all over it. Georgia did cover that first game by 8, but they kicked the field goal, and just at the end of the game was almost over. It's really supposed to be like a 5-point win. I would only bet Georgia in this one. I really would only bet Georgia in this one. And I would definitely not feel as great about it as what I would have felt if Georgia would have been rolling offensively. But like I said, Ole Miss secondary, maybe it's just so bad that they kind of get rolling. And I also, too, look out for Branch. Branch should have a big game in this one. I really think Zachariah Branch should have a real big game. Next one, we're going to jump to Alabama versus Indiana. Indiana, 7-point favorite. The over-under is 48.5. Ty Simpson, CEO notes, Ty Simpson has been terrible under pressure the past few games. Their O-line got dominated versus Georgia and Oklahoma. Bama struggles to pick up blitzes and run long developing routes, leading them to sacks. And they will be up against a team who dominated the top 3 O-line in the country. Oregon and Indiana had their way with Ohio State O-line, which is good also. Bama's defense did not show well versus a one-dimensional Oklahoma team. I was so surprised. Oklahoma averages 13, 17 points a game versus teams like Missouri that has weaker defenses. I could not believe that Bama allowed Oklahoma only had 24 points, but remember, it was 2 field goals missed. Oklahoma offense should have put up 30 points versus the Alabama defense. I was definitely surprised versus that, especially since Oklahoma is so one-dimensional and all you got to do is stop the pass because you know they can't run. They did get pressure more than they have all season. Bama is another team like Georgia who don't get much pressure, and so it allows you to sit back with time. They will have to get pressure versus Indiana to have a chance in this one. Per PFF, Bama's defensive coordinator has disguised coverages on 78 plays over the past 3 games to make up for the lack of pass rush. Mendoza is second in the country versus disguised coverages with a 90 pass grade. So y'all just remember that. With Indiana, quarterback Mendoza in the past was known to make mistakes and bad throws. I'm here to tell y'all, watching film, he has corrected that. He did throw that pick 6 versus Oregon. He threw that interception, which was a tip ball versus Ohio State. But he's 6 back there. If you give him time, he know how to make the tight throws. He got a strong arm. And with the throw out there, he either going to run the ball or throw it out of bounds. He deserves to win that Heisman. If Bama's defense looked like they look versus Oklahoma, y'all will be surprised the points that Indiana put up on Bama defense. The offensive line are real great at run blocking too. They have a real good run blocking O-line. They make real nice lanes. Indiana running backs get a lot of yards before contact. And I was real surprised because even though I said Ohio State doesn't really have a weakness, which they normally don't, they actually had a couple of explosive runs versus Ohio State. That was very, very impressive. Indiana also has possession receivers. I was talking, I think, a couple weeks ago. Indiana doesn't have a lot of speed at receiver. But what Indiana do have, they have good route runners. They know how to get open and they know how to run precise routes. That's why they were able to make them catches and stuff like that versus Ohio State. I think versus the zones that Bama's throwing out there and those defensive disguise coverages they're throwing out there, yeah, Indiana, I think they have a chance to have some real good success versus Bama's defense. Indiana's D-line has been elite this year. Indiana D-line actually won versus Ohio State. Indiana, as I just mentioned earlier, and Indiana D-line also won versus Oregon, like I said, who's a top 3 line. they have been dominant. Remember, I told y'all, Bama, for some reason, I have no idea why, but no matter how many times they blitz, and I told you, Bama struggles to pick up the blitz. They line for some reason, and they running backs, they're not real good blockers. We bring 5. You ain't got to bring 6. You bring 5 and they struggle. So that's going to be real tough because Indiana blitzes at a 40% rate. They actually 13th in the nation and bring in blitzes. And also, too, what I learned, Indiana runs zone. Julian Sand was, I think, number 1 in the country versus zone. That's why I liked Ohio State. A 90 passing grade versus zone. They actually shut down Julian Sand that game. That was very impressive. And believe me, Ty Simpson, not Julian Sand. Not Julian Sand at all. And they actually play their zone well. So Indiana, what they're going to do is going to run a lot of zone blitzes and kind of make Ty Simpson beat him. This one, Bama, and also too, I told you last week, if Bama don't get a turnover, if Bama don't turn the ball over, they will win. That happened. But also, Bama forced a couple of turnovers to get that win, and actually got outgained by Oklahoma. And that's bad when you get outgained by Oklahoma, because I told y'all Oklahoma offense is below average. This one, I like Indiana. I like them at 7. I really like them a lot. I think we're undervaluing Indiana for some reason. Indiana, I think, out of all the teams in the country, we got the 2 best wins in the country. They beat Oregon, who I think has a shot to win a national championship. You saw how good they were. And they also beat the best team in the country, Ohio State. So we'll talk about this later. We'll have a couple parlays on this one. But I do like Indiana in this spot. At 7. I wouldn't bet them at 7.5. I hate that hook. But if y'all can get 7 or under, I love Indiana. All right. The next game, we got Oregon, 2.5-point favorite over Texas Tech. Texas Tech, the over-under is 51.5. We got CEO notes on this one. Like I had mentioned earlier in the show, up 40-13 with 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and then just started playing backups. I don't like that. I hope Oregon don't get injured in this game, because if they get injured, those backups didn't look too good. Texas Tech will have a lot more success if they get any kind of injuries. So I'm hoping, because you want to see both teams full strength on both sides, but y'all saw the first 2.5 quarters how Oregon looks. Y'all did see that. That's the real Oregon. And that's the Oregon I think has a shot to make it to the national championship. Win it? I don't know. Yeah, but I think they got a shot to make it. And we'll talk about that later. One thing about Oregon is Oregon has, like I say, a top 3 line. So you have to have a dominant D-line to get to them. I was hearing people saying JMU had a good run defense, top 5 in the country. They had a good D-line, getting pressure. Remember, I tell y'all have to account for strength of schedule. JMU would not have had a top 5 defense or a top 5 defense versus run in the country if they played in the Big Ten. It just wouldn't have happened. You have to account for that. Oregon wide receivers are elite. I'm letting you know that right now. Oregon wide receivers are elite. They probably create the most separation in the country. I think it's Oregon, it's Ohio State, and I think it's I did like A&M receivers and USC receivers. But Oregon receivers are elite, and Oregon can go 7 deep at receiver. Oregon running game is on point. The only thing is will Dante Moore make those mistakes again? If Dante Moore stays clean, Oregon gonna hang some points in this game. So y'all might want to look at Oregon's point total, because Texas Tech, I heard that today somewhere. I forgot where I heard it, but Texas Tech has had the easiest Power 4 schedule in the country. Everybody that Texas Tech played this year, Oregon would have beat by about 14 to 21 points. Every team that Texas Tech played, I'm talking about the best team they played, even like the BYUs and all that. It wouldn't even have been a struggle, because Texas Tech did struggle versus BYU. They actually struggled versus Arizona State when Arizona State was full strength. And even though they had the backup quarterback, the defense didn't look good that good either. The thing about the defense of Oregon is I love their front 7, but I don't like their secondary as much. Their secondary on film can get got sometimes. They did in USC. They did in the USC game, as y'all see. Can't really count the JMU game, but Oregon had a weak schedule also, but Oregon's weak schedule is not compared to a non-Power 4 team. Weak schedule is a whole different thing. But when they first played USC, that was the best team they played, the best receivers they've seen, and their secondary did struggle some. Texas Tech do have some decent receivers, but we would talk about that. This is a big step down in class for Oregon's defense, who played an elite play caller at USC. And another thing about Texas Tech is their offense don't have much creativity. We know USC has some creativity on offense, and we see what happened in that game. Texas Tech versus the best two defenses Texas Tech has faced this year, BYU and Arizona State. They struggled to consistently move the ball and score in the red zone. They settled for too many field goals. Their quarterback Morton is an average quarterback who has not had to face many tight window throws this year. The run game is only consistent versus weak defenses. If they play any kind of good defense like BYU and Arizona State, they was not as consistent. The wide receivers didn't really get much separation, always having to make tough contested catches. The front four of the defense is good, but the back sevens look soft on film. They remind me of like a watered down like USC team. If Texas Tech was in the Big Ten, I think they would be similar to kind of USC, but I don't think they will be as good as USC. I think they'll be a little bit of step down. They played, like I just said, a high school schedule, so this will be their toughest test by a mile. They will have to force turnovers in this game to even have a chance, I think. We'll talk about this one later. I just think it's a big step up in class for Texas Tech. How do you go from playing a whole bunch of like Big 12 teams that wouldn't even, I don't even know how many Big 12 teams even made a bowl game. You know what I'm saying? West Virginia and Kansas State. Like, how do you go from that to playing Oregon, who has already played teams like Indiana, and they face these tough teams? I think this one, people are saying it's going to be close. People are saying it's going to be back and forth. I do lean the over, but I think this spread might be too low. Now, if Dante Moore come out and play like he used to play in UCLA when he got benched throwing on pick sixes, Texas Tech going to have a chance. But if Dante Moore come out and play clean, like I think he should, so I think he should, with these receivers, they should be able to separate and they should be able to get open. I think if that happened, this number is too low. I think this number should be closer to 6 and 7, similar to the Indiana and the Georgia game. So that's just my 2 cents on that one. All right, we're going to jump over to the CEO money line parlay. We're going to do plus 212. So like I told you, if I give you a plus 800 on this show, that means that plus 800 has a real good chance of hitting. It's not because I put a whole bunch of stuff together just to make a plus 800. So we didn't have that this week. We only got, 4 games? So we got Oregon money line, we got Ohio State money line, and we got Indiana money line. The reason I didn't put Georgia on here because I think it's going to be a clean sweep because I just don't trust Georgia. Georgia is nowhere in the world Georgia should have beat Georgia Tech like that. Georgia Tech just gave up 100 points to Pittsburgh. And Georgia struggled versus that defense. I think Georgia scored less versus Georgia Tech defense than BYU did. Make that make sense. If Georgia come out with that bull offense, that's going to be a game. So I stayed away from it. People say the Oregon going to be close. I don't think so. Maybe wrong. We're not all perfect. But I do love this plus 212, and I love Oregon, I love Ohio State, and I love Indiana money line. And this is the Take Me Through There parlay, and we just hit this one, I think, a couple weeks ago, man. Shout out to my wife. That's one of my wife's favorite songs. This is CEO Cruise Ship Parlay, and that's because my boy Jay on that cruise, man. So I want to show some love to my boy Jay with his family out there with the family time on them waters, which I wish I were. I'm in Michigan. It just snowed today, so yeah. But the reason I call this the Cruise Ship Parlay, because I think these two teams might meet each other again in the championship. You can actually pick an exacta, which a little bit harder because you got to pick Indiana to beat Ohio State. You got to pick Ohio State to beat Indiana. But in this one, you just got to pick them to get to the championship. So we're going to roll this cruise ship parlay this week and then next week. And we bet it this week. If they both win, we're going to take that money and we're going to put it on top of that. However y'all want to bet. Some of y'all might bet 50. Some of y'all might bet 1,000. Some of y'all might, I know some of my dudes bet 20,000. So however y'all want to bet it, let's bet this game, this cruise ship parlay. So I think they both going to cruise all the way to the championship. Let's bet this one. And then, like I said, if they win, we'll roll it back next week. And then we'll dump it on that one. And then let's see, we might be able to, this is a nice little bit of a ladder, a little bit of a smaller ladder. That's all. All right, we're going to jump on to the next one. This is the Blueprint Parlay. Got a few more games on this one than last week. I've hit the Blueprint Parlay a nice amount of times this year. I think the Moneyline Parlay has been the most, but you know, this is easier when you got the money lines than you do the spreads, man. And shout out to the money line parlays, man. We hit a college money line parlay this week on the bowls, and also we just hit an NFL money line parlay, and we also had a Blueprint NFL parlay site optimized that only missed by 1, but that's not for this show. The CEO's Blueprint. Shout out to my boy Jay-Z, Jigga, OSU money line. Like I don't know if I did mention this earlier, but Miami team total under 17.5, I love. Ohio State has not given up more than 16 points all season. Miami struggled to score versus a Texas A&M defense who's above average at times and below average at times. They're playing a defense who just shut down Indiana, who averages around 40, 50 points a game to 13 points. I love that. Even if Georgia do slip up somehow, we got 4 points. I love that too. And also, too, we showing love and giving points because, anything can happen. Mendoza can go out there, something can happen to him, anything can happen. So sometimes you want to take those points. And that's what the alt parlay is for. We try to make parlay easier. We get Indiana 3.5. And then just in case Dante Moore throw a couple pick sixes, I think they'll stay within 7 points. So we got another parlay plus 200. I gave y'all a whole bunch of different parlays. So, it's like we got like a shop. You know how y'all walk in a shop and y'all see what y'all want. Y'all, man, we see a shoe store. You see a shoe over there. You see a shoe over there. You might go to the China buffet. You see some rice over here and some rice over there. And you just like, I don't know what I want. So you do get to choose because you might not want specifically that one thing. So I'm just going to give you a buffet. That's what Beast Runs and Parlays do. We just give out buffets, man. And we give out champ chains, man, because we are champs. My bad for sure. That light keep blinking in your eyes, but that's what it do when you win it out here. All right, we're going to go to the Get Money Boys parlay. And it's Get Money Boys bet parlay. The reason we say that, because we score these at the regular spreads. So we're 11-4, like I showed y'all at the beginning of the show. We're going to score Indiana at 7. And we actually, since Ohio State already gave us a key number, we're going to keep that key number at 9.5. This is plus 235. We like I said, we're an 11-4 run with these. If this is the GMBs to Get Money Boys. We don't want no smoke. I mean, matter of fact, I said they're wrong. We want the smoke. y'all don't want the smoke, but we want the smoke, and we'll take it. But GMB best is when me and him agree on it. A lot of times when me and him agree, those are probably our best bets when it comes to the ones we agree on. So take this after y'all will. It's plus 235. All right, we're gonna go with Oregon, man. Yeah, man. We're going to go with Oregon, man. Oregon burned us, man. They burned us last week. They played around. This ain't a 21-point spread. This is a field goal. Even if Texas Tech come to play, even if Texas Tech step up and they play a better team than they've seen all year by a mile, Oregon still should get the victory by a field goal. And I'm thinking it's just going to be hard to keep up with Oregon. Oregon has probably top 5 talent in the country when it comes to blue chips and recruiting, and they're deep on offense. Defense, but on offense, they're super deep. So I do love this bet. I love Oregon minus 2.5. I just think, man, that big stuff in my class, a mug, man. I remember last year Notre Dame was playing, what was it, Navy, and all of a sudden everybody on Navy and played like the same type of schedule. They had to play the worst schedule than they played a worse schedule than Texas Tech did. They played one of the bottom 5 non-Power 4 schedules or whatever. So at least Texas Tech played the worst Power 4 schedule. But I think it's going to be a big stuff up in class. Make sure y'all check out TikTok. Like I said, we just hit mainline parlay. I think it was like plus 2 something. We hit another parlay, I think plus 104. It was like BYU and Army. BYU was actually sweat. Army wasn't a sweat. But we just hit those. My bro Mike, he threw a parlay on there. It was kind of the props. We hit that, and then like I said, we missed a plus 500, plus 450 this week, and we missed 2 plus 450s last week by 1, and we were close. And also too, we did it one time this year, and I forgot what week it was. We hit a plus 3,000 on the site, TikTok and Instagram. Make sure y'all check out the Facebook Beast Rounds and Parlays, and remember, we the Get Money Boys. I want half of them. Champ chain. Banging. I'm a G. Yes, sir. When we want the smoke. We want the smoke. Peace.